Warning! This episode of Fanatic Fiction contains massive spoilers for the story The Experiments of Twilight Sparkle. If you haven't read it yet, click the link below to read it. For those of you who have read it, enjoy!
Nice.
That was creepy.
I wasn't indeed the... Hello and welcome to Fanatic Fiction. I am the Joker. Yes. And with me I have two regulars and once again a very special guest from last week. Regulars, who are you?
My name is Admiral Lightning.
The off-brand of Captain Crunch.
My name is Dr. Surefire, and I have lots of class and a bone to pick with a certain meat boy.
Alright, now, who are you, special guests?
I am Mytho. Greetings and bienvenue. I have created all of you.
Yes. He made this glorious little picture you see for us right now, I think.
And
Yes.
you've made such a wonderful job!
Okay, seriously, you're creeping me out. Quit it. So, happy Nightmare Night to you all.
I'm gonna be quiet now. Yay.
Yay!
I hope you guys get lots of candy, or if you're too old, I hope you get drunk, or if you're not into drinking, I hope you go to a cool party or at least get laid. So,
Or you can sit and listen to our review.
onwards. What story are we doing, Lightning?
Oh, we're doing the Experiments of Twilight Sparkle tonight.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a little problem saying that there.
Twas my pick, by the way.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Okay, so since I'm going to take Lightning's job this week, and I'm going to give you the rundown.
Because he certainly enjoyed it.
I love this story so very, very much. So, this story, I love it for a lot of reasons, but the main premise of the story is Twilight invites her friends over, knocks them out, a la Cupcakes, and then proceeds to torture and kill them throughout the story.
Hold on. Does not knock him out, actually. Leads him downstairs, says...
She leads them downstairs and says,
Hey guys, let's do some experiments!
And she experiments in friendship.
Yes,
yeah,
experiments.
experiments of friendship.
And they
Oh,
actually willingly lay down on these metal slabs. I'm like, really?
Hey, you gotta trust in your friends.
Yeah. Especially when she's drinking that strange drink.
Weird potion thing.
Yay, potions.
Talk about that later. Anyway.
Anywho, we're gonna skip how they do it. Let's go to the first victim, who is Best Pony Pinkie Pie. She is killed by dissection, whatever. She gets
Tomato.
She gets sliced the fuck open. That's what happens. Basically, I mean, let's be blunt. Twilight goes Cupcakes on Pinkie, really.
That's just great.
Ironic, I know, but she does. She slices her over, makes lame jokes, and I don't think that.
Does she do it in the same order?
Does she do anything sexual to Pink?
No.
Yeah, she
No.
does.
She does?
She takes out her reproductive system, but
Yes,
not...
that's it.
She takes it out, yeah.
Yeah, she takes out her ovaries and fucks with them. That's no good.
And that's no good.
Well,
Yeah.
no, hold on a second. Now, before she gets to Pinkie, she has to saw off Rarity's horn, right?
No. That's later.
No, that's a little bit later.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So then the next victim is Applejack, who probably has the worst death of the bunch, I think. Twilight tests how strong she is. That's the thing, and she puts her in basically a giant press, and Applejack is standing up on her hind hooves with her front hooves above her, and basically this thing starts pushing down on her because they want to see how long Applejack can last.
And at this point in time, Twilight's controlling her,
Yes,
right? Like, I can't remember exactly how that happens, but
it's magic. She's using magic to keep her up.
I thought there was some kind of, like, electrical, like, rod.
Yeah, it's electric shock to stimulate her muscles. Yeah,
Right.
and so she's making sure she'll stay the way she wants her. And
Yeah, she'll
eventually,
continue.
the weight gets too much, and Applejack's back breaks, and she just kind of squished between the two plates.
Right.
There was a number of the amount of force.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
like
remember how many.
It's like 1,300 and something.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
Newtons, right? She does it in Newtons.
It's
Everything in Newton.
1,339 newtons of force.
Yeah, okay.
That's a lot of newtons, of course.
I know, that's a lot.
I'm surprised she survived that much.
Apple bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next, probably one of the most interesting deaths of the story is, of course, Rainbow Dash.
Yeah.
What happened with her is Twilight breaks her mind, basically, and she wants to test Rainbow Dash's loyalty to her friends, and basically she makes RD go insane, and she forces self-cannibalization, or self-cannibalism.
Well, regular cannibalization and then self-cannibalization.
Yeah, she eats Pinkie Pie and Applejack, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
She eats Pinkie Pie. I'm not sure about Applejack, but she definitely eats part of Pinkie Pie.
because she's like, I'm gonna get you guys out of here, don't worry, and she's insane at this point. She's eating them.
She thinks they're still alive, too.
Yeah, that's even worse. And then, I mean, she doesn't actually die until much later in the story, but she's eating her friends and herself for a majority of the story.
Well, like she starts ripping off her skin and then spitting it like 5 feet away or whatever.
It's how she escapes. Yeah, makes sense. and number 4 is a Fluttershy, which I
And
got.
this one's the worst one. You can't say this one isn't worse than Applejack's because this one.
Fluttershy's is the worst.
This one.
The worst, yeah.
Oh man, this one is bad.
Kind of scared.
Fluttershy is she's tortured until finally her mind snaps, and then she's forced to kill Angel or else be subjugated to more torture, which is bad enough. I feel really bad for her there. I'll say that. And then finally, she snaps her own neck from flailing around, and I think she shreds her own vocal cords.
She screams so loud that her vocal cords like are
Snap.
Well, no, she like literally coughs them up and spits them across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a detail.
And then finally, since she can't scream anymore, she starts like thrashing around. She thrashes so hard she snaps her own neck and kills herself.
Well, she's thrashing because of the electric current. The last thing Twilight does is like puts this electrical current through her body.
Her electricity, my God.
And the whole thing that she does, to torture Fluttershy is like she starts like skinning her leg. There's one point in time where she uses acid.
First she skins her partially, then she takes like a horseshoe or something and then nails it to her.
She nails the horseshoe into her.
Then she uses acid, then it's trying to find everything.
She horrifically tortures her, dude.
Yeah.
Fluttershy does get the worst of it. I'll agree with you there.
And while this is going on, the way Rainbow Dash finally dies is that she literally takes off all of her limbs. She strips her legs and arms down to the bone. Then she detaches the bone and throws that, to the same place she's throwing all this flesh or whatever. Finally, she just dies after she has like no limbs left.
No blood, yeah, she bleeds to death. And we might want to mention this. Twilight has already killed 2 other creatures before the story started.
More than 2.
Well, I mean, the 2 they mention is she's already killed Gilda, which is and
Apple Bloom.
Yeah, Apple Bloom. She's killed Apple Bloom too, and Applejack is kind of mad.
Does this get to why Twilight's doing this at all?
We will get to that.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know if that was a thing.
During these, I think through Applejack to Fluttershy, Rarity is still alive, and she sees all this. She tries to escape, and she almost does. I think her and Twilight have a magical battle, don't they? But Twilight wins?
I don't know.
Well, anyways, I think they do, and Twilight wins, and she straps her back down, and then Twilight saws off Rarity's horn.
Oh God, no! It was a lot earlier because she tries.
That was way earlier.
She tries to save Pinkie Pie. I swear, she tries to save Pinkie Pie, and that's when.
I swear it's before Pinkie dies.
No, I don't think it's before Pinkie dies.
Yeah, it is.
I'll rock it up. Hold on.
One of the very first things she saws off Rarity's horn.
And then she does something bad with Rarity's horn.
Well, yeah.
She shoves it inside of her. And if you can't guess what I'm trying to insinuate, I think you shouldn't be listening to this.
Might be a little too young for this.
Yes. Man,
It's
yeah.
it's before she tortures Pinky.
Okay.
And like, I don't know, she doesn't necessarily fight with Rarity. There's something where she like inserts a rod into her spine, so she's paralyzed from the neck down.
Mm-hmm.
For most of it.
And wait, no, Rarity gets a knife with her magic and slices at Twilight with it.
No, that was Fluttershy.
That was Fluttershy.
Throws it at her.
I thought Rarity did that too.
It's Fluttershy.
Because remember, Rarity's horn doesn't work. You know.
Well, I thought she did it before that, and she tried to like.
No, Twilight won.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But so yeah, if Fluttershy throws the knife at Twilight like twice, and once it like grazes her.
Yeah, that's not nice.
The other time, I think she just flat
Oh,
out.
and that's when she like she picks up the knife that Fluttershy threw at her, and then she like gouges herself across the forehead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Not a very nice Twilight.
That was just kind of creepy.
Anyways, and Rarity is the only one left. She's the only one left alive. And Twilight, like, she releases her, and then carries her down further into the basement of the library.
The sub-levels.
Yeah, sub-level, to what seems to be a laboratory, laboratory.
Tomato.
Anyways, and as they're going, Twilight is detailing all this stuff. Like, she wants to take over Equestria. That's the thing. And she's been creating the perfect soldiers.
Like alicorns, right? They were
alicorns, in order to defeat Celestia and Luna. And let me think. And they're going, and finally Rarity figures out. Wait a minute. You're not you, Twilight. I know why you're doing this. It's because she throughout this whole story, Twilight's been like systematically taking drinks of this flask, and nobody knew it was in it. But it's something that enhances Twilight's magic, but also basically makes her lose her mind. It's mental degradation at its best. And so it made Twilight go psycho and want to take over Equestria. And then we get probably to what I consider the worst. Not worst as in like goriest, but worst as in worst. It's bad. I don't like it.
It's really weird. We'll put it that way. I was confused about this part of the
She takes
story.
Rarity to this giant chamber with an amalgamation, I guess you would call it, and it's an amalgamation of a bunch of different ponies
And griffins.
Mm-hmm. Basically, it's all these creatures just put together. All their consciousnesses are still in there, all their minds, so they can still think to each other, but they can't really scream. They can make noises, but not incoherent. And then she puts Rarity in there, and she explains what it is. She calls it something. I can't remember what she called it, or why does she even have it?
Look, Trogan.
Do they ever discuss why she has it?
I'm fact checking right. Fact checking right now. I'm not
I don't
sure.
think it's ever explained. It just is.
Haven't you ever wondered if it's possible for an ordinary pony like myself to completely rearrange the entire natural order of things?
Right. So she just wanted to test herself.
So, I mean, the way that she did this with Rarity was kind of weird. Like, she talked about cutting a hole in Rarity's stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And cutting a hole. I think she attached Rarity to Gilda by cutting a hole in Gilda's stomach, and then they kind of like sewed the two holes together.
Mm-hmm. And then it kind of just inside of them fused.
It was really kind of hard to figure that out. And so, I mean, technically, yes, Rarity is left alive. If you
But it's not in a good way.
I mean, she's alive, but she's like fused with this creature. So I don't know.
And let's see. Basically, and then that's kind of like the end of this. No, it's not the end of the story. There's
one more chapter.
There's one more chapter where she kills Spike. I mean, really, that's she kills Spike. That's it.
Well, no, hold on. Does it like? I can't remember. Does she actually kill Spike, or does she just?
It says fate. I'm looking at.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
I'm looking at Twilight Sparkle from the Experiments of Twilight Sparkle. They're on the villains wiki. Yes, she has a page. I'll link it. And
I'm looking at that page right now. It's how I'm fact checking right now.
It says Spike.
I also have the fanfiction.net story open right now.
It says Spike, fate unknown, the final victim before the story was officially abandoned. Yes, the story was abandoned, but it's considered complete.
Yeah, that's right.
Nope. She does not kill him.
Right, at the very end of the story, the author puts a note that says, "I'm done with this story. Fuck it, I'm done."
Yeah, he got really lazy with the into the story. But I mean, I still like the story. It's fun to read, great read. It's far superior to Cupcakes.
That's because Cupcakes is in it, and there's more to it.
Exactly. Okay, so we've gone over discussing it. You know what? Lightning, you give your review first.
I am not a huge fan of gore. I enjoyed Cupcakes fairly because of the writing that went along with it. This one wasn't too bad in that category either. I mean, it was an interesting story to read just because you are wondering what's going on with Twilight, and there's enough of a mystery going on that it's you want to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't very happy with the ending, but then again, like they said, I mean, he kind of quit. There really was not an ending to the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the deaths were. I mean, it's the same thing like watching something like Saw. You know,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
it's almost entertaining to see how these people die or how these ponies die because it's
So radically out
interesting
there.
ways. So I'm not gonna say I hated the story. I thought it was well thought out, and when she actually went into the basement, it was really kind of interesting to see what she was doing. She actually said that she said she was controlling diamond dogs and parasprites, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I'll give it that.
Sweet
As
Celestia,
score for
genetically engineered parasites.
That's it.
For a score for it, let's see here. I'd probably give it a 7.5 because like I said, I'm not a big fan of gore, but it was interesting.
Hmm.
I thought the story was okay. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of gore, but I do appreciate it when it's there and it's used correctly. Not to mention, I'm huge into psychology, so I just love seeing Rainbow Dash absolutely just lose it, Twilight just going completely off the wall, and just overall how everything works out. I mean, granted, the story does get a little and sometimes I wonder, just how in the world do these people not die? Because Fluttershy's like, how did she make that? There's even a condition in the story that they brought up. It's like hyperborosis or something like that. They're just like, how did that not happen? It really should have. But aside from medical stuff that I could get into, overall, I thought it was fine.
Well, no, with Fluttershy, I think didn't she give her those 2 injections? Like the
That was like way later.
one was supposed to keep her alive, and then the other
One
shot
was supposed to keep her alive. The other was supposed to
make her super
paralyze her.
make her super sensitive.
Oh
Right.
yeah, that's the other one.
And then I thought one was adrenaline to keep her awake.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the
that
shot that
was
kept her alive.
yeah.
It kept her from going into shock, basically.
Right.
Yeah. But that was like way later though.
What's
Still.
your score for it?
I'll give it an 8.
All right. And now me, I love this story. I love gore stories. I can't stand horror movies. There are only 2 horror movies I like: The Blair Witch Project and Evil Dead. And Evil Dead, thank God, is getting a reboot, remake, sequel, whatever you want to call it. It's another one coming out.
Good man.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be gory. I've already seen the trailers. Can't wait for it. Anywho, I love gory stories. I can count off, not even on my fingers and my toes, how many gory stories I love. As a child, my dad had a lot of Stephen King books, and I read It when I was 8 years old.
Ooh.
So I've always had a flair for horror and for gore and stuff like that. And this story, it kind of like Cupcakes. It was awesome. I love it. It's insanely just awesome. Mainly because I like twisting. I like how they twist the genre of MLP into something much darker than it's not supposed to be. And it, Twilight. If you listen to this podcast, you know my feelings about Twilight Sparkle. You should. I hate her with a passion. But this story, I love her in it just because she plays such the great antagonist. I never say villain, by the way. I will never say villain. It's who I am. I can't say villain. There's no such thing as a villain. There's only an antagonist and protagonist. Anywho,
So you'd rather? No, go ahead.
she plays a good antagonist, especially with how they portray it. And I think the author did a really good job of explaining it. But I will agree that the ending, it did fall off and it got a little ridiculous. And I think maybe he could have gave the story out to somebody else to let them finish it up and polish it a little bit. But overall, because I love the cliffhanger ending too with Spike. Overall, I have to give it probably a 9. Just this is a must read. If you were a fan of Cupcakes, go read it. If you're a fan of like Sweet Apple Massacre, go read it. But yeah, I would again just definitely go read it. Go try it out. I know it's not for everybody. We will have links below. It's an awesome story. And anything else, guys?
Well, there is one thing I want to ask you guys. Do you want to see an ending to this story?
No.
Or would you want to see an ending?
No.
Lightning, would you want to see an ending?
Depending on what the ending was, I mean, I don't know how they would end it. So, there's a possibility that they'll just ruin it if they...
Yeah, you're right.
This story cannot have a finite ending. It needs to be a cliffhanger.
All right.
And I think even though he kind of he abandoned it and he said, okay, yeah, fuck it, it's done. That was still probably the best ending, the best possible ending for it.
All right.
Where, of course, her friends held a special place in her heart, but they still weren't family like Spike was, and that transition from killing friends to attacking Spike is a very big jump, and I think leaves a lot to question.
If I'm not mistaken, the last chapter ends
When she says
she tells Spike that she killed. She brings him downstairs.
Yeah.
And Spike realizes what she's done, and like, I think she says something like, "Well, let's do some experiments," and like the chapter ends. So like, I mean, you realize that, okay, well now she's gonna do the same thing to Spike. However, they don't get into that, and that's where the story ends.
But still, it's a big jump to go from attacking your friends to family.
It, I thought was actually pretty interesting because it's like, even though it ended with him just, quitting the story, ended at a good enough point where I've seen other stories end like that.
Here's the thing. For stories, I always like to imagine. I always play them as movies in my head. I think everybody should, and
Same here.
They just shouldn't read. It should be a cinematic experience like anything else. And now that I go back and think about it, I think it was a really good ending because it's like, he's like, oh, what have you done, Twilight? She's like,
learning about friendship.
And yeah, he's like, and she goes, want to do some experiments, and then I can just see the credits rolling after that. It was a perfect ending, perfect cliffhanger for a horror film.
Yeah. For a horror story, they're allowed to end stories like that.
Of course they are. It's a horror story. You need some ambiguity on it. So, once again,
that's part of the horror.
Once again, happy Nightmare Night to you all out there. It doesn't seem like my co-hosts are going to say it either. They're all going to be dicks.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be sure to do more experiments. Right, everyone?
You can't do the Twilight. You can't do the Twilight voice. Quit it.
So, who said it was supposed to be Twilight?
You do a creepy voice in general. Okay, Lightning, any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Just have a happy Nightmare Night, and we'll see you for another special reading in Christmas.
I forgot something. My story I need to recommend to you all. Funny thing is, I want it to be a horror story, but I had no other horror stories. Go read Sweet Apple Massacre and Cupcakes. Do it again. Even if you read them once, read them again. In the spirit of the holiday, read them again.
The only problem is that, I don't know, I didn't like Sweet Apple Massacre. But...
Nobody likes Sweet Apple Massacre.
Okay.
And Lightning, go with the outro song.
Good job.
No song. No song for me, sorry.
Outro song.
There we go, Mytho gave it us.